What is going on, everybody? This is CardboardCellar, and I hope everyone had an awesome week. Today's video is going to be my Marshall Faulk Master Set collection for the PSA set registry. It's actually going to be a relatively short video, considering I only have 5 cards in hand. And I do say in hand because I actually have a bunch more coming in from a ComC order I placed around the Black Friday / Cyber Monday sale. So I think in that order there's around, I believe, like 25 or so, putting me around a total of 30 cards for the Marshall Faulk Master Set that I have started for the PSA set registry. I just don't know when that order is going to be in. So since the year here is coming to a close, I kind of want to have a video to look back on next year. So that's why I'm doing this video now with only 5 cards. So it'll definitely be a pretty interesting video to look back on next year when I do one. But I do think it's a nice 5 cards that I have to show for you guys today. Especially my last one that I'm going to show you guys today is probably one of my favorite cards that I have so far. But other than that, guys, a little information on my Marshall Faulk Master Set collection here. It's actually all going to be PSA 10s. I'm trying to kind of make my collection a little bit different than everybody else is out there. So I'm going to try to collect nothing but 10s of Marshall Faulk, as well as other Hall of Famers. Should be a pretty interesting journey as I continue collecting over the years. But let's go ahead and get right into my Marshall Faulk Master Set collection, all PSA 10 gem mints for the PSA set registry. I kind of have these 5 sorted by by rarity or how hard they are to be graded. And we start off with the first one coming from 2000 Collector's Edge graded, uncirculated. It's a Marshall Faulk PSA 10 gem mint. Beautiful card, but actually a very easy set. I think the pop is around 60% or 10s. The pop on this card is 3007. I think around 5,000 are graded, if I'm not mistaken on that. So around 60% are actually gem mint 10s, making this a very easy card to get a 10 in. And that's why this card is actually fairly, very cheap. I think I picked this up. I'll make sure I have the prices if I don't remember right. So I'll make sure to put the prices and stuff I have purchased so far for this collection. So I don't think I will spit any prices out there, because just in case I don't remember. So I'll make sure to add that to the video when I'm editing it, just so you guys know how much I spent so far on the collection. But a 6-6 PSA 10 gem mint here of Marshall Faulk from 2000 Collector's Edge, graded, uncirculated. Like I said, very easy card to grade. I think around, like I said, around 60% are PSA 10s. This card is actually 1 of 5,000. So if I'm correct about the pop report, that would mean all these cards have been submitted to PSA, which was actually kind of interesting now that I think about it. Makes you curious about that number of 1 of 5,000, if that's actually print run of this card. But still a sick, cheap PSA 10 gem mint of Marshall Faulk for our first card in today's video. Next one is a rookie of Marshall Faulk, coming from 1994 Collector's Choice. PSA 10 gem mint, of course. Beautiful rookie of Marshall Faulk. Actually, one of his easier rookies to get a 10 in, as this is a pop 46, and I believe this is around, they got long hair on that sticker here, as this is around, I believe, like 30% or 10s in the 1994 Collector's Choice of Marshall Faulk. So a pretty easy set to grade as well for a nice rookie of Marshall Faulk. I said pop 46, and I think around 30% are 10s. So a pretty easy rookie to get graded in a 10 for Marshall Faulk, but still a nice rookie nonetheless, coming from 1994 Collector's Choice PSA 10 gem mint of Marshall Faulk. This next one here has actually got a pretty interesting story, as you also see how the perfect fit sleeves compared to just graded team bags. This one's coming from 1994, another rookie of Marshall Faulk, SP Foil, PSA 10 gem mint. As you definitely can see the difference between just regular graded team bags versus the perfect fit sleeves. Definitely need to get all my cards into these perfect fit sleeves. Just recently discovered them, I think like around 5 months ago or something like that. Just haven't placed an order to get those. So I'll definitely need to do so, since I have so many of these Marshall Faulk PSA 10 gem mints coming in from that ComC order. So we'll definitely have to get that order placed for the perfect fit sleeves. But let's talk a little bit about this card here. 1994 SB foil Marshall Faulk PSA 10 gem mint. The pop on this card is 547, but I believe around 6,500 of this card have been sent into PSA, making this a pop around 8% to get a 10 of this card. Now, the interesting story about this card, it is like very, very hard to grade, I believe because of the foil. Like I said, 8% being 10s. But the interesting thing around this card is around 50 bucks when you purchase one. I think I got mine for around like 40 or something like that. But this card right here is around 50 bucks, and the die cut of this card is around $300 to $400 on eBay, which is very interesting considering the die cut based off the pop report is actually easier to grade than this card is itself, for around 50 bucks. I think the die cut is like 10% are 10s. I think there's only 38 right now, but I think 370 have been sent in to PSA. And there's only 38 PSA 10s for the die cut, making it a little bit easier to grade the die cut so far that I've seen. But yet that card is still going for $300 to $400 on eBay, which is kind of mind-blowing. It's just, this card is around $50 on eBay in a PSA 10 gem mint form, and it goes for a fraction of what that die cut goes for, which is actually a little bit easier to grade than this card. Like I said, this card has around 6,500 sent in, and only 547 are 10s, making this around 8% to get a PSA 10 gem mint of this card. It's a pretty interesting story there when you see people paying up for that gem mint 10 of that die cut card, $300 to $400 for that, which is actually a little bit easier to grade than this card. But a nice 1994 SP foil PSA 10 gem mint rookie of Marshall Faulk here. On to our next one, which actually will be finishing off with pop ones here. This first one is coming from 2000 Impact Hats Off. Of course, it is a Marshall Faulk, is a PSA 10 gem mint, which actually has a nice 3-color patch pop one. 6-hit card. A little information on this card. I believe only 2 have been sent in. One got an 8 and this one got a 10, which, like I said, has a nice 3-color patch. Beautiful, beautiful patch there. And like I said at the beginning, pop 1 of this card. 6-hit card. It says, congratulations, the trading card you are holding contains a piece of hat worn by Marshall Faulk, which is pretty sweet. And like I said, it is a nice addition that this card has a nice 3-color patch right there for a pop 1 PSA 10 gem mint from 2000 Impact Hats Off of Marshall Faulk. A nice little hat relic PSA 10 gem mint of Marshall Faulk, which is pretty sweet. Definitely another one of my favorites. But on to the last card in hand right now, that for my Marshall Faulk Master Set collection for the PSA Set Registry, which, like I said at the beginning of my video, this is definitely my favorite one, and I'll tell you here pretty soon. It's coming from 1994 Images. It is a PSA 10 gem mint rookie of Marshall Faulk in his Colts uniform. This is number M5, and I believe there's like 6 or 7 if I'm not mistaken. They feature him in a bunch of different uniforms because this is classic draft, and they feature him in a bunch of different uniforms, and one's a field card, which basically the reasoning for that is, it says on the back here, if Marshall Faulk is drafted by the Indianapolis Colts, this is an instant win card. To claim your prize, you send in this card. And so that's why all the other cards feature different teams and stuff like that, because basically those teams were drafted Marshall Faulk, those would have been instant win cards. But like I said, the cool thing about this, it features in his Colts uniform. And as you guys know, Marshall Faulk was drafted by the Colts. So this would make this card an instant win card, which is crazy. I did a little bit of research on this. When people actually sent this card in, as you can see the print run of it, 3,250. When people actually sent this card in, it said that you do not get the card back, which is interesting. As it says right here, prize claims must be received by October 1st, 1994. Please retain a copy of the card for your records. Your original card cannot be returned to you. So, My question is, as I did a little digging on the pop report, there's been 4 sent in, 2 were 8s, one was a 9, and then this one got a 10. It's a pop 1. So my question is how rare is this card? Like, how many of the 3,250 printed right here are still out there? Or what do they do with those cards that were sent in as instant winners? How many people sent in those instant winners? Stuff like that. Because like I said, only 4 have been graded of this card since 1994. So it does kind of make me curious of how rare actually is this card. Will this be the only 10 that ever pops up? I don't know. I mean, how many cards of this card are actually out there that people haven't sent in? And then what do they do with all those other cards that were sent in? That's my question. That's why this makes me... This card is my favorite card that I currently have in my collection, because there's just so much uncertainty about it. Just basically, could this be the only 10 to ever exist of this card? Which would be pretty interesting. Nice 1994 images, classic draft, PSA 10 gem mint rookie of Marshall Faulk, pop 1. Definitely my favorite card because of that uncertainty about this card. I don't know. You know, it's something I'll never know, is just how many of this card is actually out there, and how many people actually sent in this card as an instant winner back in 1994. But a sick way to finish off my Marshall Faulk Master Set collection for the PSA Set Registry that I currently have in hand right now, guys. Like I said, I got a bunch more coming in, just don't know when that order is going to get here, so I just kind of want to have a video to look back on for next year. But like I said, guys, super sick collection, and I'll be looking forward to adding a bunch more PSA 10 gem mints of Marshall Faulk in the near future. Other than that, guys, this has been CardboardCellar, and I hope you guys enjoyed.